What if I told you that in just 12 hours, a man over 60 could wake up with stronger, firmer, more responsive erections, without pills, without embarrassment, and without stepping into a doctor's office? One natural food, when eaten the right way, has the power to restore blood flow to your penis, unlock sensitivity, and bring back the vitality you thought was gone forever. I know that sounds like a bold claim, but stay with me, because this may be the most important health message you've heard in years. My name is Dr. James. I've spent over 3 decades as a men's health physician, walking side by side with men who thought their strength was behind them. I've helped husbands reignite intimacy, grandfathers regain confidence, and men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond stand taller, both physically and emotionally. Not with magic, but with science, nature, and the right action at the right time. You see, most men are told that weak erections are just part of aging, that there's nothing to be done, but that belief is dangerous, and it's dead wrong. The truth is, your penis isn't broken, it's just underfueled, and once you learn what this simple food does inside your body, you'll realize why most men have never been told about it. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how this one food restores circulation, oxygenates erectile tissue, and brings results in as little as 12 hours. So don't go anywhere, because what comes next could change everything. Before we dive into the solution, if you're a man over 60 who cares about reclaiming strength, energy, and confidence, I invite you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss another health message designed just for you. And if this video speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and tell me how I can serve you better. Now let's begin, because before you can reclaim your strength, you need to understand why it started to fade in the first place. Most men think it's just age, but the truth runs deeper. What's really happening inside your body, especially after 60, is a silent breakdown in circulation. And that breakdown shows up first where blood flow matters most, in your penis. 1. Why erections fade with age, and why it's not the end. I've looked into the eyes of hundreds of men who've asked me the same question. Doc, why is this happening to me? They're talking about the slow, frustrating loss of erection strength, that quiet change that sneaks in over time. One day it's just taking a little longer than usual. Then a few weeks later, it's harder to stay hard. And soon after that, you're waking up without that familiar morning firmness that once made you feel alive. It's not sudden. It's not dramatic, but it cuts deep. Because when you lose strength down there, you don't just lose performance. You lose part of your confidence, part of your manhood, part of what makes you feel like yourself. And here's the hardest part. Most men blame themselves. They say it's their age, their testosterone, their past choices. And while aging does play a role, I need you to hear this loud and clear. This is not the end, not even close. The real culprit is something far more subtle: declining blood flow. After 60, the blood vessels leading to your penis begin to narrow. They lose flexibility. Your body produces less nitric oxide, the molecule that tells those vessels to open. Without that signal, less oxygen reaches your erectile tissue. So even if you still feel desire, your body can't follow through. And that disconnect, that betrayal between mind and body, leaves many men feeling defeated. But what if I told you that your body hasn't given up? That the systems responsible for erection strength are still there, just waiting for the right kind of support? Because they are. I've seen men in their 70s and 80s turn things around, not through medication, but through smart, natural interventions that work with the body, not against it. And now that you understand what's really happening, it's time to ask the next question. What is the one natural food that speaks directly to this problem, and how can it start working in just 12 hours? The answer might surprise you. 2. The number one food that restores blood flow: beets. When I first started recommending beets to my older male patients, I'll admit many of them looked at me like I was crazy. Beets? Really, doc? They'd ask, half laughing, half doubtful. I get it. Beets don't exactly scream masculinity or power. They're not advertised on TV with ripped athletes or flashy promises. But what they lack in hype, they more than make up for in results. And the truth is, if there's one food I could put in the hands of every man over 60 who wants to feel strong again, it would be beets. Why? Because beets are loaded with natural compounds called nitrates. When you eat them, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a gas that relaxes and expands blood vessels. This is exactly what your penis needs to come back to life. Nitric oxide is like the switch that turns blood flow on. Without it, nothing moves. With it, everything changes. I remember one patient, Tom, 67 years old. He hadn't had a full erection in over a year. I walked him through a simple plan that started with beet juice every morning. Within days, he noticed a difference. More sensation, more fullness, and eventually a return of that morning strength he thought was lost forever. He came back to my office with tears in his eyes and said, "I feel like myself again." That's the power of one food, when used with intention and consistency. Beets are cheap, available in every grocery store, and they don't just help your penis. They help your heart, your brain, your stamina. But for a man whose confidence has been slipping away quietly for years, what they give back is priceless. Now, you might be wondering, how fast do they actually work? And what exactly should you eat and when to get the maximum benefit? Let's walk through the 12-hour timeline that's helping men feel the difference almost overnight. 3. What happens in 12 hours? A timeline for results. I'll never forget the moment one of my longtime patients, Harold, age 72, called me just before sunrise. His voice cracked a little as he said, "Doc, I woke up with something I haven't felt in years, and I didn't think it would ever come back." What he was describing wasn't just a physical change, it was a moment of restoration, a spark of manhood reignited. And all he had done differently the day before was follow the beet protocol I gave him. Here's the truth. When you give your body the right fuel, it doesn't take long to respond. Most men don't realize how quickly nitric oxide can begin circulating once the body receives a dose of high nitrate foods like beets. It's not some distant hope. The results can start within hours. In the first 2 hours after consuming beets, especially in juice form, your saliva and digestive system go to work, converting those nitrates into usable nitric oxide. By hour 3, your blood vessels are beginning to relax and widen. That means improved blood flow, not just to your brain or your legs, but directly to the pelvic region where erectile tissue has been quietly starved of oxygen and nutrients for far too long. By hour 6, many men report a warm, tingling feeling in their groin, a sense of fullness, a return of responsiveness. And by hour 12, when most of us are either waking up or getting ready for bed, that's when you may notice it most. Stronger morning erections, more sensation, more confidence. That's how fast the body can bounce back when we give it what it needs. But remember, fuel alone is not enough. To get the full benefit, it has to be paired with movement, with hydration, and with a daily rhythm that tells your body it's time to come alive again. So now let's talk about exactly how to eat beets the right way and what you must avoid if you want the fastest, most powerful results. 4. How to eat beets the right way and get maximum results. Over the years, I've seen men get excited about natural solutions, only to be disappointed when they don't work as expected. And 9 times out of 10, it's not because the food failed them, it's because they weren't using it the right way. With beets, the details matter, especially for men over 60 whose digestion and nutrient absorption can slow down. The method of preparation and timing makes all the difference. Let me tell you about Leonard, 68 years old, a retired Navy mechanic. When he first tried beets, he simply added a few slices to his dinner salad. A week passed and he said, "Doc, I'm not feeling anything." So I walked him through the real plan, and within 2 days he called back and said, "Okay, now something's happening." What changed? Everything. The most effective way to unlock the power of beets is to juice them fresh. When you drink beet juice on an empty stomach in the morning, ideally blended with a little lemon and apple, you give your body a quick, concentrated hit of nitrates that go to work fast. If juicing isn't your thing, roasting is your next best option. Roasted beets with a drizzle of olive oil become not only delicious, but deeply therapeutic. And for those who want the fastest route possible, beetroot powder in water or a smoothie is potent and convenient. But whichever method you choose, consistency is key. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't do it once and expect lasting results. You make it part of your routine, part of your identity. And there's one more thing you need to know. Beets are powerful, but they work best when your body is primed for circulation. That means pairing them with one simple 5-minute routine that activates blood flow directly to your pelvic region. In the next part, I'll show you exactly what to do and how it turns food into full-body fuel. 5. Combine beets with this 5-minute daily routine. When I first started helping older men rebuild their sexual vitality, I quickly learned something important. Food alone is not enough. It's powerful, yes, it's foundational, but your body also needs motion. Not intense workouts, not a trip to the gym, just gentle, focused movement that signals to your blood vessels and erectile tissue. Wake up, it's time to flow again. I remember a patient named Ronald. He was 74, a former truck driver with stiff knees and a quiet sadness in his voice. He told me, "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore." We had already started him on beet juice in the mornings, but something was missing. So I gave him a 5-minute daily circulation routine. No equipment, no stress, just simple movements he could do by the side of his bed. Within a week, he walked into my office grinning. "It's coming back," he said. "I can feel it." So here's what I gave him, and what I give most men over 60 who want real results. Start with deep belly breathing for 1 minute, not shallow chest breaths. Full, slow inhales through the nose, letting your belly rise, then exhale slowly. This calms your nervous system and prepares your blood vessels to open. Next, do 10 slow leg lifts while lying on your back, followed by glute squeezes. Hold each for 10 seconds, repeat 5 times. These target the pelvic floor without strain. Finally, finish with a gentle forward bend or a hip stretch. No pain, no pressure, just activation. This little circuit sends a message to your lower body. Send blood here, rebuild here, restore here. And when combined with beets, it creates a 1-2 punch your body responds to quickly. But remember, short-term changes are powerful, only if you build on them. So what happens if you follow this plan not just for 1 day, but for a week, 2 weeks, even a month? That's where the real transformation begins, and I'll walk you through exactly what to expect next. 6. What you can expect in 7, 14, and 30 days. Every man who starts this journey has the same question in the back of his mind, even if he doesn't say it out loud. Will this really work for me? And believe me, I understand that doubt. You've lived a lot of life. You've tried things that didn't live up to the promise. So when I say you can feel real results in 7, 14, or 30 days, I'm not asking for blind faith. I'm asking you to listen to what men like you have already experienced, because I've seen it with my own eyes, again and again. In the first week, something subtle shifts. Maybe it's that morning moment where things feel a little fuller, a little more responsive. Or maybe it's during the day when you walk up a flight of stairs and feel less heaviness in your legs. That's not your imagination. That's blood flow returning to places it hasn't fully reached in years. By day 14, most men tell me they're sleeping better. Their energy feels steadier. Their confidence begins to return even before intimacy. There's less hesitation, less second-guessing. They feel more in their body again, more alive. For some, even their partner notices. A comment, a look, a spark. And by day 30, if you've stayed consistent with the beets, with the hydration, with the gentle daily movements, you're no longer just seeing random improvements. You're building a new normal. Erections feel firmer and more predictable. There's less reliance on medications, more trust in your own body. And maybe most important of all, there's a sense of pride that you took back something that matters. But don't let this progress stall, because there's one mistake that keeps too many men from reaching their full potential, and it's surprisingly common. So let me show you what to avoid and how to keep moving forward without losing momentum. 7. what most men get wrong, and how to avoid it. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. A man gets excited, starts strong, feels a little improvement, and then slowly slips back into old patterns. Not because he's lazy, not because he doesn't care, but because the world around him is louder than the quiet work happening inside his body. And the biggest trap? Believing that pills are the only solution, or worse, that his best days are already behind him. Let me be honest with you, one of the most dangerous things I see is when a man depends solely on medication without changing anything else. Pills can force blood into the penis, yes, but they don't rebuild your circulation. They don't restore nitric oxide levels. They don't heal your vessels, your energy, or your confidence. At best, they give you a temporary fix. At worst, they convince you that nothing deeper can be done. I had a patient, George, 70 years old, who told me, "I've been using pills for 5 years, doc. They worked at first, but now even those don't do much." His voice cracked with frustration. What he didn't realize is that his body had become dependent on the pills while the underlying system, the blood flow, the vascular tissue, had continued to weaken. No one ever told him there was another way. So I helped George rebuild, step by step. Real food, real movement, hydration, belief. And a few weeks in, he said something I'll never forget. "For the first time in years, I'm not afraid to rely on my own body again." That's the shift I want for you, but to get there, you have to know this isn't just about erections. It's about reclaiming your identity as a man. And in the final part, I'll show you why this is bigger than performance and how this journey leads to lasting strength, pride, and power. 8. Why this is about more than erections. At first glance, this might seem like it's just about erections, about performance, about that one part of the body that stops working the way it used to. But if you followed me this far, you know it's so much more than that. Because when a man loses strength in the bedroom, he often loses something far deeper: his confidence, his spark, his sense of purpose. And when he gets that strength back even a little, everything begins to change. I've watched men walk differently after just a few days of feeling hope return. I've seen couples hold hands again, not because of a miracle cure, but because one man decided not to give up on himself. I've sat across from men who broke down in tears, not from sadness, but from the relief of knowing they weren't broken after all. They were just missing the right tools, the right information, the right support. This journey, your journey, isn't about chasing your youth. It's about reclaiming what's always been yours: vitality, presence, dignity. When you feed your body what it truly needs, when you move with intention and speak to yourself with respect, something shifts. Not just in your health, but in your identity. You are not finished. You are not fading. And your manhood is not behind you. It's waiting for you to rise again. So take that first step. Drink the juice. Breathe deeply. Move your legs. Speak life back into yourself. Because the moment you decide you're not done, that's the moment your comeback begins. If this message spoke to you, give it a like to let me know it mattered. Share it with a friend or a brother who might need this reminder too. Drop a comment below. I read every one. And if you'd like to support this mission to help more men reclaim their strength, consider making a small donation. Every bit helps keep these messages going strong.